David Adams. Here. Austin Bonta.
Here.
Tom Cherry.
Here.
Carrie Gunning.
Here.
Mike Hill.
Here.
Gina Geist-Hurst.
Here.
Luke Wyman.
Here.
Denise Little.
Here. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes? And if there are no corrections or additions, could I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes?
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. If you could call our first order of new business.
It's new business, and it will be a public hearing. There will be a sign-in sheet at the podium. We have Z0520 Lennar Homes of Indiana Incorporated, care of Attorney James Weiser, 429 West Lincoln Way Highway, Cherryville, Indiana, requesting a change of zoning from M1 low-density multifamily residential to R2 low-density residential for the 20 acres east and south of the corner of Loop Road and Airport Road.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the Plan Commission. My name is James Weiser. I am the attorney for this project and have the good fortune of representing Lennar Homes of Indiana. I'd like to introduce our team to you so you know who's here tonight. We have Todd Clevin here, Jessica Cobb, Scott Gerard, and Brad Moore. So pretty much your audience is here with us. And I also have some good news. I introduced all those folks and myself, but only two of us are going to talk. And we promise we will be efficient with our time and with your time. So thank you. Just a quick explanation as to where we're at and maybe a little historical perspective, especially for, I know, Ms. Little and others that sit on the BZA might be a little bit confused about why we're here and what we're doing. You may recall a while back we were in front of the BZA for that portion of the property south of Loop Road. And by the way, this is a project that's at Airport Road and Loop Road, Monda Road, just north and east of the high school, and was originally proposed by Lennar as a single-family development north of Loop Road and a multifamily section south of Loop Road. And there's obviously a reason we're here to change that this evening. And in conjunction with that, we were in front of the BZA and we had obtained a developmental variance. However, subsequent to that, in discussions and conversations with staff and with the city and looking at our plan, there was a determination made that what really might serve the community much better would be an entirely single-family development. And in conjunction with some other work that's going to have to be done, which I think Todd will touch on briefly, in terms of the widening of Airport Road and the relocation of the Robbins Ditch to help the community and help the city with the project that they're working on. So, having taken that all in consideration, we came up with a new plan, or my client came up with a new plan that makes it all single family, and we think it's a really exceptional plan. It's an excellent one. We think it's a great use of the property and a real benefit to the community, and that's why we find ourselves here tonight. So to dispel any confusion there was about why we were in front of the BZA before. So what I'd like to do is turn this over quickly to our, I can't keep track of, there's more titles with residential developers than there are with bankers anymore, and I can't keep track of them, but Todd's got a big title, and he's one of the new guys with us, so I'm going to turn over to Todd for his brief presentation. Go ahead, Todd.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Madam Chairman, fellow board members. As Jim indicated, my name is Todd Clevin. I'm the Planning and Entitlement Manager for our Chicago division of Lennar. I'm also a Lake County resident. I've been a land developer in the area for 25 years and recently joined Lennar. I'm excited about that, and I'm excited to be in front of you this evening. I do appreciate your time and the risk of the situation that we're all going through, and it's nice to see us still pushing forward and being safe. With that, my colleague, Jessica Cobb, she is the land acquisition manager. She just passed out the conceptual drawing of the project. And Jessica, if you don't mind, if you could hand out the slide presentation. I had a presentation for you. After speaking with Kurt, we're just going to go ahead and do it in copies and pass them out for you. So as Mr. Weiser indicated, we are in front of you this evening under petition Z-05-20. The petitioner is Lennar, and our offices reside at 1141 East Main Street, Suite 108, East Dundee, Illinois. everybody has the handouts in front of them. One small correction, when Mr. Weezer was indicating that this was originally proposed, it was through a competitor of ours. This was in front of you, I think in 2018 for a rezone. There's 64 acres here. The southern 20 acres is currently zoned M1. When that competitor, DR Horton, decided to abandon the project, Lennar came in and acquired it. And we penciled it out in several different ways. We even was in front of your BZAs, Mr. Weezer indicated, seeking a side yard variance. After further market studies, we've decided that that did not work out, and we would like to go back to an R2 zone on the entire parcel for single family. Now, it's not our nature to come in front of you with one plan and turn around and come back, and I do apologize for that, but we are a transparent company, and I'd like to just again offer my apologies for that, but we would like to move forward, and I don't believe that we would be back seeking something else. It is full steam ahead. All the numbers work, and we're excited about breaking ground this spring. So as you can see, the project is bisected by a relocation of Robbins Ditch. We'll get into more detail as we're in front of you with the engineering, the primary plat, but it is the intention of this project to relocate the ditch that is currently on the east side of Airport Road. That ditch is about 8 feet in depth with a 1-to-1 slope, and as you know, the high school is just to the southwest corner of this project. And so not only will this bring more rooftops to your community, but it will also solve a major safety issue along that road. There's a lot that goes into that. Again, I'll discuss it at a later date, but it is the plan to relocate that, widen Airport Road, and move forward from there. But circling back, we are here in front of you just seeking a favorable recommendation, unanimous if possible, to the City Council to move forward from the M2 to the R2 zoning. I have a small presentation that was handed out in front of you. It kind of just walks through the findings of facts. The staff report is in there. You can see our receipts. Everybody has been notified. The project in a whole consists of 174 single-family homes, and we anticipate a home value above $325,000. With that, I'll open up any questions that you may have.
Now I'll open for the public hearing.
Sounds good.
I will now open for the public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak for the petitioner? Is there anybody here to speak for the petitioner? Is there anybody here to speak against the petitioner? Is there anybody here to speak against the petitioner? If not, I will close the public hearing and open to questions from the Planning Commission. Do maybe you want to talk about the water flow?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to talk, is that the water flow?
Sure. Yeah, so the property does sheet flow from the southwest corner to the northeast corner. Again, the major conveyance is Robbins Ditch. Robbins Ditch resides on the east side of the road, right at the shoulder. It's 8 feet in depth, 1-to-1 slope. It flows north to the northwest corner of our property and then goes east to along Robbins Road. Our plan, working in conjunction with the city, is to relocate that. And the reason why we're going to relocate it is mainly for the safety and try to remove the hazard that exists, but also if we were to fill that in, because it is a waterway of the United States and it's governed by the Army Corps, mitigation would have to take place of some sort. Some communities you can go and purchase that mitigation. It's about $800 per lineal foot. I believe that's the number. Which equates to about $880,000 if we were to do that. So we put our heads together and we redid the conceptual design, which you see in front of you. That relocation will now become an amenity for the community with walking paths and also provide the detention. So with that, it will then be, to answer your question, Madam Chairman, all the stormwater will then be collected and conveyed to the center portion. Also will flow overland to the east property line and go through a small swale along the east property line flowing north and then reconnecting to the existing Robbins Ditch. in order to meet that conceptual idea, we're going to work very closely with your staff, your departments, as well as the Porter County Drainage Board. I can speak on that in a little bit more detail if you'd like me to, or we can, as we...
Could you?
Sure.
Okay.
So Robbins Ditch is currently governed by Porter County Drainage Board. They have the jurisdictional rights over that, which means they have the say-so of what happens with it. As we approached them, it was their indication that they would be willing to transfer the jurisdiction to the city of Portage for the portion of Robbins Ditch that is impacted by Brookside subdivision. That would be the west line and the north line. Now again, we're proposing to fill in a majority of the west line, relocate it through our community, and the north line would not be touched. However, it would receive less water. In order to achieve that, we will have to petition the city to see if that's something you're willing to accept. The city would ultimately become a permittee. I would make the presentation to Porter County Drainage Board, and then we would move forward with the petition to transfer the jurisdictional rights from Porter County to the city of Portage. Again, that's something that is going to transpire after the rezone, working very closely with Kurt, who I'd like to commend, by the way, great guy, very knowledgeable, amazing to work with. We want to first get through the first hurdle of the rezone, and then we'll start moving forward with the DRC and diving into the relocation in more detail.
Any questions from the board?
Just one. So you have two outlets onto Airport Road there. That's a pretty busy road. Do you see any traffic signals or anything else going there?
No, and that's really the main reason for two entrances, is to provide the options to eliminate the impact of the traffic at one spot. But we have the best engineers that we use, Mackey. They have in-house traffic analysts, and they obviously pick the best spots where they're lining up with the existing road. But anytime you have a road, you do have that potential, if people disobey.
Well, I know that, but you're right by the school there too. When the school lets out, it's almost impossible to get onto Loop Road or off of Loop Road, and especially if you're making a left-hand turn coming out of there. And you got young drivers. I mean, they're not, not to pick on them. My son's 16, he's coming out of there too, so.
We'll be back in front of you at the primary plat where we'll study the engineering a little bit more, and if your consultants feel that it calls for a four-way stop of some sort, or maybe unique signage of, school zone time limits and that kind of stuff, that'll all come up at that point.
That's the only question.
I think some of this is already clarified, since you're not the original group that came to get this zoned the first time when we got it zoned for the multifamily on the south side. But could you explain a little bit about what led to that determination that the multifamily wasn't as appropriate for that southern side?
Sure, absolutely. So, and thank you for your question. Again, the 20 acres that were in front of you this evening seeking a rezone from M back to R2, from M1 to R2, is about the location of our relocated Robbins Ditch. That's the north line of the current zoning area. And when Lennar acquired or went under contract, they put in their single family attached, I call it, it's a duplex. They put that product in to their analysts and their calculations. And looking at the market conditions, it just did not pencil out. Lennar is a production builder, but we're a step ahead of most of your production builders. As a nationwide whole, we're doing about 60,000 homes a year. Our Chicago division is doing about 900 this year. We're projected to do 1,200 next year. And a big support of that is our footprint that we're expanding into Northwest Indiana. The product that we have, to answer your question, it just did not meet the market conditions, and we'd rather bring our single family home into the area.
That's perfectly fine. And then, again, sorry to ask about contrasting with the competitor, but just, I know that the plan that they had back then was for a potential spot where on that east side, there'd be like an area for the road to go in to where that could eventually be an extension to the neighborhood. It looks like you guys have no plans for that then. It looks like this will be closed once you have that
Yeah,
entrance.
so that plan that you had in front of you probably originated through the competitor, and they did have a road stub to the east property line. Our studies do not, because of the short distance between our south property line and Robbins Road to the north, we don't feel that there's a need for a second access point, and we're able to provide two of them on Airport Road, so it was removed. We'd rather keep that community feel to support the type of product that we're putting in there, and we just feel that the way that it's currently is laid out is what's working best for our product.
Thank you very much.
Couple questions.
Sure.
You talked about you're gonna widen Airport Road, I presume, only the section that you're developing. How wide? Are you going 3 lanes, 4 lanes, you put a turn lane in? Exactly what's the plan for that?
I do not have the engineering for tonight's presentation. It's still currently being studied, but it will meet your staff's recommendations. We do have our engineer with us. He might have a little bit more detail. This is Bradley. He's with
Can you sign?
Manhart.
Sure.
I think I said Mackie earlier. I apologize.
Yeah, that's all right. Is the sheet up here? I don't. Oh, is it underneath? Okay. Hi, I'm Brad Moore with Manhart Consulting. We're the civil engineer on the project. To answer your question further, the airport road currently is widened, or the existing section has improvements done to it in the past on the west side of the road. It's our intentions to kind of duplicate that on our side, is along the frontage of the property until Monda Road. At that point, at Monda Road, the mitigation on site for the permit ends at that location.
So you're going down the Monroe Road, you're not going to the end of to the ditch area?
Yeah, it'll taper back into the existing road right now is actually like it's about 32, 33 foot wide. So with our striping plan and everything, there'll still be a full 3 lanes available for striping, however the community wants to set that up.
Okay, so 2 lanes and possibly a turning lane is what you're saying?
Yeah, there'll be enough room for a northbound and southbound lane, and then there'll be a taper into a turn lane if that's what the community, if that's what Portage wants into our subdivision.
Yeah, it seemed to me it would make sense to have the turning lane on the east side to get into the subdivision.
Correct.
It would make sense, and maybe even one into Monda Avenue on the left side. I'm not sure how that would work out. But,
yeah, that's how it's set up now. Is that the overall widening and installing the curb would have the designation of the tapers for a left turn lane in both directions into the site.
Gotcha. Sorry, my phone keeps turning on. That's where I have my notes. So, okay. So I want to agree with David, because Loop Road, that intersection there in Airport, is extremely difficult to make a left-hand turn from Loop Road to Road North. I actually now, as long as I remember, when I'm coming down Loop Road East, I turn it off at Sarah, I believe it is, and take that road east, or I guess I turn left and go down that, and then go down to the end of the block and turn right, and then it's much easier to go down when I think it's Monda Road, it's probably where it's at.
Yeah.
And then get out there, because the Loop Road, with the traffic coming from Route 6, the timing, by the time they get all spread out, and then you have everybody coming up from Central Avenue, it's really difficult to turn. So I don't, something has to be done there, whether it's, I hate to say put a light in, but it kind of needs it there, if any place. And I'd like to see the light at the school be a flashing yellow north and south and red non-school times when they're coming in and out of school. just to alleviate some of that traffic. So you don't have the double light within a block of each other, which gets frustrating, that kind of thing. So that'd be one of my thought processes. Then you mentioned the Robbins Ditch. You said, now I wasn't sure if you said it was going to be connected to the Horton sewer system or it wasn't going to be connected to it. I think you did, Todd.
It's strictly stormwater, so it will not be connected to any sewer system as far as, you refer to stormwater?
Don't we have stormwater drainage though along there, or no? I thought.
We do, but stormwater drainage is not the same as sewer.
I agree. I've used the wrong term. I should have said stormwater.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, so it will be, in one way or another, there will be collection devices that will probably drain into the relocated area, which will work in conjunction with our ponds and so on and so forth. Again, though, these engineering things will be definitely dialed in when we're here in front of you for the primary plat. It's good to hear them. So as we move forward with the engineering and we meet with your DRC, but yes, in a nutshell, it will work in conjunction with storm sewer infrastructure.
Now you said, I thought you said that you weren't, it would be very cost ineffective to just, not so much fill in the ditch along Airport Road, but put a water pipe in there and then fill over top of it. It was something like $800 a foot or something like that.
Well, so what I was referring to was the mitigation costs. So
Okay.
because it's governed by the jurisdictional waterway of the United States and the Army Corps and IDEM, they require you, because of the wildlife and the types of species in that ditch, if you were to fill it in, as a function it would work, but in their eyes, you're impacting the wildlife, so they would make you mitigate that elsewhere. It's a lot easier with wetlands, because you could just go somewhere and create a wetland, depending on the classification and the size, but when it's a waterway, you actually have to determine and create that waterway draining to the same end result. And that option just isn't readily available, so therefore it's very costly to purchase that mitigation. So that's why this is actually a win-win. It's from a safety standpoint, and also that we were able to reconfigure the conceptual plan and mitigate it on site. So basically we're just taking it and we're rotating it by 90 degrees, and then we will hopefully we'll meet the permitted recommendations when we petition the Army Corps.
So when you mitigate it and turn it 90 degrees, that means it's going to be filled in, that whole ditch?
The ditch along
Airport Road.
Airport Road will be filled in.
Completely filled
And that'll allow us to widen it and put the proper utilities that need to go in there. But we're able to keep the mitigation on site and also turn it into an amenity.
Did you say you're only going to do the section up into Monda Avenue?
A little bit north of that, if you look at lot 1.
So you're going to do the entire property?
The filling will end right about lot 1, correct. Once we get
Lot
past
1.
that taper.
Oh, so that section from lot 1 going north to, which is your dashed line here, that's not going to be filled in or anything else?
No, as you get up north, if you notice, it's not as wide, it's not as steep. It kind of makes the bend on our property. It's heavily vegetated. And that's one of the reasons why we're not impacting that. We also like to, it's one thing for a developer to come in and put all the concrete and asphalt down, but it's also, we have to be mindful and respectful of the environment. So when you look at those agencies, they like to see you not impact as much as you not any more than you need to. And so we're kind of holding that corner back a little bit.
Yeah, because I thought that was as deep, if any, because that's where there's a, if I remember correctly, because I drive by all the time, there's a cement opening, I think, that goes north of into the subdivision, and of course it goes east, as far as you can see. It's all overgrown now. But that one section you're not going to do.
We'll look at it, again, when we get into the engineering aspect of it. But currently, working with our environmental agency, it's proposed to keep the northwest corner.
One sec, hi, Scott Berard, VP of Acquisitions. I have a little bit more history than Todd on this. He's new. So when we first came to the city, I think it was last September, basically a year ago, right around there, we had the original DR Horton plan at that time. And when we ran our original analysis on it, it was kind of sold to us as, hey, this thing is a great plan, this is buildable, everything else. When we met with city staff and everything else, they did not agree with that. They didn't like the plan. They felt that plan was shoved down their throats because it didn't solve any future issue on Airport Road. So us being, the win-win type of guys we are, we tried to work as best with the city to figure out the exact route that we could still develop the site while taking care of the city's mitigation issues along Airport Road. This was a collaboration of the city staff and a ton of engineers to kind of figure out a way to avoid paying $880,000 to $1 million in the future when that road is taken care of. So we shifted it in there as best we could, but due to how that thing is flowing right now, it needs to end where it does, and unfortunately near that Monda, it's already been looked at. It's gonna, we're gonna taper it there, and it's gonna pick up that creek, I believe, up north there along that property line. That's where that flows to. So it's two different kind of scenarios here. So that's kind of how the plan evolved. That's why it went from 224, I think, plan. I can't remember the exact number they had, to 174. So, not only are we solving a problem, we're also reducing density considerably in the area. So again, we feel this is a true win-win type of deal. We feel we're saving the city, future headaches with Airport Road, because that banking's only going to get more expensive as environmental stuff gets, harder and harder to replace. And quite frankly, that's even if they have a waterways bank available. That's the other question. Those aren't just readily available. Wetland banks are a little bit easier, but these are much more difficult to go out and find, hence the reason why they're so expensive and the price tag is so high. It's supply and demand, essentially. So, sorry, Todd, I didn't mean to jump on you, but I just want to give you guys just a little history of kind of how this plan had evolved over the last year or so.
I have somebody asking is there any risk to Robbins Pond with doing this?
Robbins Pond. Bradley, are you familiar with Robbins Pond?
Say that again?
Are you familiar with Robbins Pond? I'm not familiar where it's located.
The Robbins Pond?
If I had a guess, you have somebody asking you, Robbins Pond might be a pond that's located somewhere else in the vicinity of this development. That might be what they're referring to. But to answer that question, anytime a development, as you know, is created, you cannot release any more water than it was released in an undeveloped stage. So the answer would be no, we won't be impacting any adjacent ponds.
I have a question also too. As far as sidewalks, will there be sidewalks along Airport Road?
Right now, there's currently no proposed sidewalks along Airport Road on the east side. There's currently sidewalks on the west side, so.
And it looks like there's sidewalks to the north of it and to the south of it. That's what I was curious.
To the, yeah, partially up there. Well, that's something we can work with staff at this point. We're just, if you can see like on the entrance off of Lute, there's existing extensions that were connected into those, so. But that's something we can look further into.
Kurt, I was told 3 years ago, I'm guessing, that there was at one time Portage was looking at a project, it might have been this, I don't know. But Portage was looking at a project of filling in that whole ditch at one time. I remember they dug it completely out probably 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5, I don't know what.
Well, I think that, through that process, they found, there's some plants that make what we're talking about, waters of the U.S., and that's what they're trying to go through the mitigation process to change that, and then it allows to fill in that ditch area, take some right of way, add potential turn lane there. This is just a change of zoning, getting back to where it was before. I believe they're going to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals again. We haven't even seen any engineering yet. We haven't had any analysis on what's going to happen there. So this is going to be, the primary plat's going to be in front of this board again in a couple months.
So to clarify, really what we're deciding right now is when it comes to our recommendation to the city council, do we believe it's appropriate and right for assuming everything else checks out, that the whole piece of land will be R2? Is that correct?
That's correct. I mean, right now, we're looking at this 20 acres, and you're making a recommendation to the city council.
So basically, voting yes would mean we're asking the city council to make the entire thing R2, as it was before Horton came by. And voting no in this case would actually mean saying that we want that southern part to stay multifamily residential. I mean, that's really what's being decided here. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
Yeah. Everything else will come up later, like you say, at the primary plat.
Correct, correct. Well, I don't want to speak for the petitioner, but I believe that, again, they may be going back to the Board of Zoning Appeals for side yard setback or lot coverage, things like that for their design.
That would happen after, assuming that we vote yes and the city council vote yes, that would happen after it's all R2 again. Is that right?
That's correct. You know, they have to correct.
Right.
And ask for a development standard.
Great.
I see here there's a preserved tree line to the south of the property.
Yes.
Through the development into this apartment complex. Will there be any other, structure or anything like that that separates this property from those, that apartment?
Yeah, that question came up in one of our team design meetings, and we did look at that and discuss a few options there. We are trying to preserve the tree line, and if for some reason the screenage is not what's anticipated with the existing vegetation, there's a possibility a fence might go up, but the trees are planned to stay as long as there's no utility conflicts.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the changing of the zoning.
I'll
A
second.
recommendation to the city council for a change. Did you say this?
He did. He said that he'd like us to recommend the city
Oh,
council.
I'm sorry.
change it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yes, I can, but that's fine. That's fine.
I can't hear with the mask on.
That's covered your ears too. Okay.
Yep. We have a
Just
second?
Second, yeah.
Mr. Knutson, if you could call roll.
David Adams,
Yes.
Austin Bonta,
Yes.
Tom Cherry,
Yes.
Kerry Gunny,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Gina Geis-Turst,
Yes.
Luke Wyman,
Yes.
Denise Lipp.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I look forward to being back.
I love the walkway through the detention area. It's really going to be pretty.
I wish we would have brought a planner. He usually is great at selling his vision, but the COVID scared at our office. We figured it'd be better if he didn't come here today. We'll be here next time.
Any old business? May I have a motion to adjourn?
No, not happening.
You don't have one?
I move that we adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor stand up.
Stand up.